Our episode begins with Atto talking to Takuto. That bug appears, but Atto gets angry at it for talking to King Takuto. Takuto tells her not to be angry, as he was the one who asked it to come back to them from time to time. They then continue their conversation about the elves. Takuto says that having people with different cultures and ideas nearby could create a lot of conflict. Atto asks him if something is worrying him. He tells her that he's not good at communication, so he's not sure if he'll be able to handle the negotiations well. Atto suggests that she handle the negotiations instead, which would help showcase his majesty as the Elf King. She tells him to ask her for anything he needs and never hesitate. Takuto thanks her and tells her he's counting on her and trusts her negotiation skills. Then we see the elder of the Dark Elves, Moltar, along with Gia. They introduce themselves to King Takuto. Atto demands they immediately state what brought them here and what they want from the king. Moltar says, "I express our deepest gratitude for providing food to my people, O king. May I be honored with your noble name?" Atto introduces the king, saying, "This is the lord of the end of the world and the ruler of ruin, Ira Takuto. Be sure to address him as King Ira or King Takuto. My name is Atto, and I serve as King Takuto's assistant. I am of a lower rank than him, but be sure to also show respect when addressing me." Moltar tells her he will always respect her and the king, and promises to engrave their names in the hearts of his people. Atto then allows them to take the food and leave. Moltar asks her how he can repay the kindness the great king Takuto has shown his people. She tells him it's unnecessary, as she doubts they could make an offer that would satisfy the king anyway, plus they lack the necessary resources. Atto then asks him what they are planning to do. Moltar assures her his intentions are not malicious and that he isn't planning anything. Then King Takuto tries to calm the situation and reminds Atto about the negotiations. Atto gets very angry and tells him that these elves are terrible at negotiating, and if they let them go now, they will hinder them later. She insists it's necessary to eliminate them immediately. Takuto tries to calm her down, telling her he's confident they want to build a mutually beneficial relationship. Instead of helping them for free, they can offer assistance for a price that satisfies them. Atto sees this as a good idea. She informs Moltar and Gia that King Takuto has decided to accept their offer in exchange for the generosity he has shown them. Moltar and Gia become very happy and grateful to the king. Atto then starts thinking about the payment and asks King Takuto what it should be. Takuto tells her the payment is for Moltar to tell them about the outside world beyond this forest. Moltar tells her he will tell them everything they have heard and witnessed outside the forest. Atto says, "All right. Once you have honored your pact, make sure you leave this forest." Takuto then notices Gia trembling and wonders why, thinking to himself that predicting Gia's actions is much easier than that old man's. Moltar then tells them that nothing would make them happier than receiving permission to stay in this forest, where King Takuto resides. Atto tells them she cannot allow that. Furthermore, if they don't want to lose the lives that were just saved, they must not mention what happened here to anyone else. When Gia tries to object, Moltar stops him immediately, telling him that these are the king's wishes, and they must respect them without hesitation. They then leave, but suddenly King Takuto calls out to them and suggests they become his subjects. Everyone is very surprised, and Atto asks him angrily, "What is the meaning of this?" He tells her, "I'm thinking of using an asylum system. The Dark Elves are not inherently good or evil, but if we accept them as refugees in our presence, and assuming things work like in the game, they should become evil beings like us." Atto tells him that they are very different from their main citizens, the demi-humans, and she doesn't want clashes or serious conflicts to arise between them. Takuto says, "There is indeed a risk, but I want you to remember what the demi-humans look like. Can you really bear living with only them as our citizens?" She admits he has a point, as it's difficult to have a normal conversation with the demi-humans, and their appearance is very unpleasant to the mind. They find this to be a good solution, and he asks her to tell Moltar. Atto looks at them and says, "Our king intends to establish a nation here soon. If you wish to become its citizens, he will grant you protection." Moltar asks her, "What will become of us if we become his subjects?" Atto promises him eternal happiness. At that she replies, "I will make you happy and promise you eternal bliss until the day you die. But I suspect that's not what you really want to know, Mr. Chieftain. I believe you will become evil beings. You have the freedom to choose your own destiny, but if you'll allow my personal opinion, things are much more fun on our side than you can imagine." The scene then shifts to King Takuto and his follower. She tells him, "Watch your step. King, you're walking barefoot. They then discuss the elves. I think any of them would reconsider if they knew they would become an evil being, one says. They knew from the beginning what the best choice was for them. I can see it now, my king. That is the dark elf camp. Do you see it? He replied, yes, I see it clearly. Finally, the tribe leader calls out, everyone, the king has arrived. The king walks past them, but they see such a dark aura that as he passes one of them, the elf faints on the spot. The king then sits amidst everyone and his follower speaks, and now we will officially accept all of you, the Dark Elves, as citizens of our new nation, Mainogara. She then turns to the king. King Takuto, are you sure about them? He tells her, yes, my beautiful girl. All the conditions have been met. Well then, let's officially announce the founding of our small country. That elf thinks to himself, this is it? They told us we would become evil, and that's what we want. But nothing has happened yet. At that moment, something strange happens, and he feels something activate in his heart, hatred and resentment for any other race. He was very angry and in pain. Then the king comes to him and asks, what's wrong, boy? He replied, nothing, my king. It's joy. I'm crying tears of joy now. Then everyone rejoices for this silly, goofy king, but they also all cry with sadness. We don't know why. Do you know why, my friends? Write to us in the comments. A few days after his declaration of the nation's founding, he is now holding a piece of paper and saying, I'm stuck! Disaster! Catastrophe! I don't understand a thing! He then shows the paper to his servant and says, look, this is the continent map I got from Elder Moltar. He was furious and says, we got a terrible location, and starts jumping and crying on the floor like a little kid. There are two continents. The one we're on is the Elves continent, ruled by nature, where they control everything. As for the continent on the right, it's the continent of humans. If they discover us, we don't have the military power to fight. This makes matters even worse. Also, these cursed lands have no natural resources we can use. It's so bad you can't even classify it as hard level, because that would be an understatement of how bad it is. The situation is extremely dangerous, but at least not all the news is bad. Usually on this continent we're on, there are rivers and water sources that are difficult for humans to access. After that, the elves come to give their report. Gia and the tribe leader approach him, and today they brought a helper, Emil. Gia introduces himself and tells them he brought his assistant Emil with him today. Emil is a smart woman with vast knowledge of legends and other nations, and he believes she will be of great use to them. Atto told him that her king is very pleased with their dedication, and that there's no need for such formalities, as he doesn't like them. Then Atto informs them of their future plans, and that their king will appoint them to key positions to manage the kingdom of Mainogara. This is the king's decision, and it is final. She then turns to Elder Moltar and informs him that he will handle the administration of the state. She tells him they know he can use magic, so they have high hopes for him. Elder Moltar accepts the position. Atto then turns her words to Gia, telling him he will continue his work as the commander of the warriors and will lead Mainogara's forces. They also entrust him with the task of recruitment. Gia is very happy with this position. As long as his king commands it, he will be ready for anything and will instill in his soldiers the love of working with them. Atto adds that their king loves peace, so he must always be sure to remember that. Gia is puzzled. How can the king of ruin be so peaceful? Atto continues, saying they must rest well until they recover their strength, and that they will be assigned to build housing to live in. The elder thanks her very much for this help. He then says to her that his knowledge will be of direct use to them, unlike Gia, who only boasts about his strength. Gia gets angry at him. He then tells them that he is full of energy and doesn't need rest at all. Atto speaks to Takuto in a low voice. They seem to be workaholics. Maybe we can order them to gather resources for now. Takuto thinks for a moment, then suggests something. Terrain improvement. Atto is delighted with this suggestion. She then orders Elder Moltar to gather wood while preserving enough of the forest to not cause damage. The elder agrees, saying that they too are a people who live in the heart of the forest. If they intend to construct buildings using large trees, he is confident in their ability to satisfy the king's wish. Gia is still amazed that the king does not intend to destroy the forest. Takuto wishes them good luck, then asks them not to forget to reforest it again. Gia and the others didn't understand what he meant by the word reforestation. Takuto thinks to himself, from what I know, it seems the technology level of this world's people doesn't go beyond the fortress building stage. They don't know much. Atto asks them in shock. Are you familiar with the terms military magic and the main elements? Elder Moltar replies that he knows the four main elements, as it's a basic concept of magic. But as for the term military magic, they have never heard of any other nation using it. Takuto understands that this world has not yet reached the level of magic technology associated with the 6 main elements, and they are strangely behind in other areas of technology. The elder then says that their magic technology is much poorer than his king thinks. Atto understands that this means they have a chance to get ahead of other nations as soon as they advance in it. She then remembers the meaning of the word reforestation and tells them reforestation is the practice of planting trees on land where trees have been cut down in order to preserve the environment. It's an important step to ensure resources. Emil replies that she doesn't think their magic technology has anything to do with tree growth. That is something that usually takes centuries for them to mature and be ready for cutting. Moltar responds to her, it usually takes centuries for them to mature and be ready for cutting. But are you suggesting something? Atto replied, yes. Reforestation is a technology that uses the main elements to accelerate their growth. This, too, is wisdom born from our great king, Ira. Everyone is astonished when they hear that. She continues her speech. Our king is hundreds of times more amazing than you can imagine. The knowledge born from our king covers many different fields. Do you realize how lucky you are to have received our king's blessing? Emil says, so the apple we had before was also food created by our king. Otto told her, yes, that's right. As for me, I prefer the grapes our king creates. Emil says, grapes, that purple fruit. I found seeds in it and tried to plant them, and they've already started to sprout. I can't wait. Otto says, did you say you planted the grape seeds? The king says to himself, why didn't I notice this sooner? The food I created before was from the modern world. This means I can use my creation ability to make things that don't exist in this city yet. The king then uses his power, and with a flash of light says, with this power, I can create gunpowder, basic metals, even oil. It would take a huge amount of magical energy, but it's obviously a game changer. Is something wrong? Emil asked. Otto replied to her, no, it was just something we overlooked. You have done well, and that's how today's episode of this anime ends. Wait for us in the coming episodes. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe and activate the notification bell to get everything new.